right, so next we have our events and promotion panel discussion. We're joined by Prez from PayDayLA and also Derrick McKinney. So Derrick, I'm gonna start with you because you were early. You were early. Prez, I'm gonna mess with you. I saw you just hop on, but I'm just messing with you. Derrick, please let us know what you do and a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Derrick McKinney. I'm the CEO of a company called L.O.U.D Music based out of Houston, Texas. L.O.U.D stands for Live Out Your Dreams. I manage the rapper Zero. I manage the rapper Lil Flip. We have our indie label. We got quite a few things. We've toured Japan, England, the Netherlands, the USA with Live Nation. So we've done a few things on that front. But we also host a music festival called L.O.U.D Fest. We put over 150 independent artists on 3 stages over 2 days. Average attendance is about 4,800 people, 5,000 people a day. And then most recently, we had an event called the L.O.U.D Radio and Press Junket, where we put 65 media outlets, including BET, BET Jams, BET.com, the social app Riff, Pandora. We even had outlets such as Vertigo, DigiWax, and radio stations from across the country. And artists got to sit down and interview and network and meet with each and every outlet that was there. So on the event space, we do a lot of concerts with the House of Blues between Houston and Dallas and other markets. And we always just focus and highlight indie artists.
Okay, sounds good. Look, Archie say thank you for L.O.U.D Press Junket. So that's
thank you for coming, bro. Thank you for coming, bro.
All right,
the next one is in June.
Okay, next one in June. Michael, you got that down? Y'all got everything in line for that. Prez, let us know about what you do in PayDayLA.
All right, excuse me. Well, what's up, everybody? My name's Prez. I'm out here in LA in Inglewood, but I run a big artist platform called PayDayLA. Not only being an artist myself, it's also an event platform for artists. Probably one of the biggest concurrent hip hop showcases in the country right now. We've been at LA Times, Hip Hop DX, a whole bunch of other spots. But we throw a monthly all hip hop only show. And basically, if you popping out in LA, you've probably been through our showcase and stuff. So we offer that. We offer playlisting, original content, and partnerships with other tech companies and artist-friendly tech companies specifically to speak to the artists and help empower the artists and stuff. So we've been doing that since 2018. We've did a bunch of events from LA to virtual events during the pandemic with spots like Red Bull and BuzzFeed. And, we got back at it once they allowed us to open back up out here in LA since July. So that's basically what we do. We throw big independent events for independent artists.
Gotcha. Well, I'm excited. Both of y'all, look, y'all come with a nice long resume, honey. I'm gonna start with you, Prez, because we got you talking. You already kind of spoke to, what pivots you had to make with the pandemic. Can you speak the pros and cons of your virtual festivals versus the pros and cons you experience for your in-person festivals?
The pros and cons of the virtual one, it was actually a whole bunch of more pros than cons. It was just a different set of, things that you had to deal with. Like you're running more of a production set rather than running an event because you're having to take care of cameras and all these other things where you realize real quick you're running a production set more along the lines of a TV show or things of that nature. But other than that, being able to reach all of those people, we went through Twitch and YouTube and thanks to Red Bull providing the infrastructure for everything. We had a stage, LED backdrop, multi-cameras, interviewed the artists, did contests, a live and pre-recorded virtual streaming. We did 4 of them over the pandemic. And it was real popular in being able to reach everybody that's everywhere versus you have to be there at the show, right?
Right.
And hear about it and stuff. And with our regular show, the pros and cons of that are dope too, because we give up a lot of content. So we have a lot of high quality video, photos, and then original content and user generated content that we create from the artists doing the event, from playlisting to, IG generated content, for example. We even go as far as original content pairing artists together to create original music. We partner with United Masters to do that, and Pyro Studios for that one. That's what we try to do, is provide a whole bunch of things in addition to them just performing.
Right.
But we also partner these artists with artists that are already buzzing, you know, in the city. So we really benefit from me being an artist that's pretty known. Our host until recently was the homie Chuck Dizzle. That's an iHeartRadio personality, probably one of the main ones in LA at Real 92. And our DJ was well known. So because of those type of partnerships and networking opportunities, everybody kind of shows up there and the artists see the opportunity in doing it. The only cons from that is just dealing with artists from time to time, you know, because you're doing stuff. You're getting a lot of these big artists to basically do you a favor and rock for a very cheap price, you know, and then you're partnering them with all of these, I wouldn't call them openers, but that's basically how they're looking. So it's just all about the atmosphere that you create, so it doesn't come off like that. You know, it comes off as a great networking opportunity, and the artists see it as that way. So the only cons would just be dealing with the artists sometimes and dealing with the venues, but it's hella pluses dealing with both things, you know. The cons with that virtual stuff was, if you never worked on a production set, it's a lot of stuff you just are simply not thinking about that might go wrong, that you kind of just have to figure out trial and error, you know.
Right.
I had the computer go out, I had lights go out, I had streams off, all sorts of stuff happened, but luckily crowds were showing patience and stuff, and we did very, very well through that. And the best thing about that stuff is the artists, they showed appreciation for that. And then as you see the artist progress, you know, through the career, just in that short amount of time from doing these couple of shows, that's the pros of it, you know. So it's not really that many cons, to be honest with you. It's all for the love right now anyway. So
I can relate to that. We've done both. First year 2020, we came to LA. We did this in person. Last year we did it in Dallas. It was a hybrid. We had in person, but we also recorded, you know, to go virtual, and now we're doing virtual. So like you said, I enjoy bits and pieces from all of it. Like, a pro with this is if I mess up, you know, when we record this later, it can be edited out. But you know, a pro in person, you know, it's that vibe you get from that in-person human interaction. But if I mess up, look, people got their cameras out. You know, we can't control what they produce to the world after that. So both, you know, does have its pros and cons going forward, because, you know, we thought by now we'd be out of this. We kind of are, but we kind of aren't. Do you see going forward with having a mix of both in your, you know, what you plan to do, a little bit of virtual, a little bit in person, or you gonna kind of, if things get to that way, go back to, you know, just in person, or how you feeling about that?
Well, we already moved back to in person in July. We actually go back up to like 3 events, I think, next month. But I would love to do a hybrid of it. I just think the cost of it, when you're doing it, to be real, the people that do it are dope at doing it. If they have an in-house video team that's already doing this, and it's not hard to set up the setup per se, but you need to either have that, or you need to have sponsors or somebody providing the money to pay for it. That would be the best way to pay for it versus relying on anything else to pay for that, because it does cost. If you want a nice quality one and not like, I've seen everything. I've seen somebody walk around with their backpack with the camera doing virtual, like live right there, like a chat room or versus type of thing. Or you've had people with the whole straight setup like we would have. And so I would prefer to do it in a high quality way. And I know that takes money and stuff. So right now we'll do that separately. But if it's a way to do a hybrid in the future, yeah, we're definitely open for it. It was a fun ass time to do it, and it was really dope to do it too. But that's a whole nother team you have to have ready, you know. So but luckily in 2022, how everybody thinks having an in-house video team or production team is starting to become part of it, you know, a necessity, and part of what you need.
Right. Yeah, like I said, we definitely can relate. The GlobeVision team, working out the kinks. I will say hybrid was my favorite, because like you said, people can experience it that we can't reach, that can't, you know, afford the time to come in person, but we still got a bit of that in person interaction. We had a lot of fun. Derrick, you also host a festival. Can you tell us, the pros, the cons to what you've seen for the artists as they participate in your festivals?
So with the pros for me is I love independent artists. I love independent music. I've worked with enough majors, and I just feel like I love to see somebody putting everything they can into their dream, their passion, they're investing in themselves, and they're really getting after it. So I love to watch something grow to where I want to be the guy to say I was there in the beginning. I don't want to jump on the bandwagon later. And I get to see a lot of that through the festival. I've seen artists who did our festival and then a year later they're on tour. It's like, man, like I root for the underdog at all times. The cons, man, I think the cons is like dealing with artists. In urban music and hip hop and R&B, it's just in this completely lack of professionalism. That's just my thing. I can't stand. Don't call me bro. Don't call me unc. Don't call me OG. I don't like any pet names or nicknames. I've worked too hard to earn the positions that I'm in. And I just think in hip hop, it's just too casual. And so they feel like they can show up when they want to. They can, it's just, they don't take it as serious as they should. To where when I've had country artists or indie rock bands and things like they're setting up for loading, they're on sound check, they're making sure they're meeting the sound man. And we just gotta, when artists get thrown into the major spotlight, and then they realize all that actually go into it, most of them can't handle it. So for me, the con is really, really just the professionalism. I could deal with all the other shit. I can deal with, teaching you how to do a sound check and how to hold a microphone and how to find your marks on stage. That goes with the territory. You're independent. You don't know these things.
Right.
But
right.
Even with our press junket, I had a rule. You couldn't show up smelling like weed. You couldn't, or your ticket was non-refundable. You wouldn't get in. You couldn't show up drunk or high or under the influence of anything because you're sitting down with doing media, doing interviews. So the cons for me is only the lack of professionalism. Everything else I can deal with.
Yes, look, Miss Nikki Richards is in the chat. She's loving that, and I actually have some questions for a later panel discussion. We have one later speaking about some of these things, because for me it's like I get it, that's what you're selling, that's the culture, but work goes on behind the scenes, and you have to know how to operate in those rooms, to get where you need to get. Those things can be reserved for other times.
But I think that's one of the issues that we have within the culture, that we can see certain artists who who've made it, and we see how they move, but nobody takes into account for the 4 security guards, the publicist, the manager, everybody else that's handling business on their behalf. Independently, you have to reverse the roles. You got to handle those business things first so you can get to that moment. And that's the only con that I would have would be the professionalism. And it's just having a realistic approach and educating yourself on doing live shows, touring, doing festivals, doing events. True story, we had my artist Tim Ned was opening for Ja Rule at Sony Hall, and it was like New Year's Eve, and it was just them 2 on the show. Sound check was at 5, we showed up at 3. We only traveled with 3 people. We set up everything, got the hell out the way. Ja Rule was running late to the show, so my artist extended his set. From that, the general manager of Sony Hall was like, I don't get too many professional hip hop acts like that. So he called the promoter in New Jersey the next night, and we got added to that show. That made Live Nation add us to the other 17. And it was just
matter of being on time and being prepared. Yeah.
That those things, it can do so much more for your career. Nobody wants to work with the asshole. Nobody wants to work with the person that's late, unless you're going to sell out every venue and you have a #1 record in the country. We put up with certain shit, but if not, then nah. You need to come to work like everybody else do.
To show up and show out so you can continue to have those opportunities. Now, and both of you all can speak to this next question, because you all see a lot of new artists. I know Prez, you refer to it as new openers. You don't want to degrade anybody, but we all start at some point. Bottom line, we all start at some point. How do you keep the audience engaged at these festivals? Because it is kind of hard to rock out to some music that you don't know. If I go to a concert of somebody I know all the songs. That's how I'm staying engaged. How do you all keep those levels, or what do you sell to your audiences coming to the festivals so that the audience and the artists have a good experience?
Well, I know from my end, I know everybody loves the sexy buzzword curate, but you really have to do that. You have to make sure your lineup is right. You have to make sure that the people you are putting on stage, you can't give me $1,000 to be on a festival. You know what I'm saying? I don't do that. You go through the submission process, and we're gonna screen the music. We're gonna make sure it actually fits. And in our marketing and our branding, we're targeting independent music lovers, people who are coming out to discover the next, people who want to hear. We'll have our major headliners at the end of the night, but we make sure that we have an audience that, that's receptive to the new music. I'm not going to have, I don't know, YG headlining and then just throw 2 or 3 people from Alabama on as the openers, knowing they don't have a chance in hell of grabbing that crowd that they're in front of. Right. So I think that's very important for me.
Yeah, I mean, as far as from my lane and stuff, like even when I was saying openers, I'm more just talking about just the feeling of, those cats that are rocking earlier that are more unknown versus the well-known artists. All of our artists, that we don't really do headliners because all of our artists are at some point, but they're still all in that buzzing level before they become a household name. Because I'm grabbing these artists they be charging thousands at this time. You know what I'm saying? And I'm getting them to do the show for free or for, a very, very cheap price, because they value the atmosphere and everything. And that's the selling point. That's what people got like very, very quickly, was once they heard Payday and saw everybody that was there. Our first show had Battle Cat, Problem, a couple other West Coast people. And we get those type of artists every time. So when they go, not only do they see these people performing, but they see people there. They could go there and run into West Side Boogie. They could go in there and run into Lawrence for 1500. They could run into other producers, you know what I'm saying? Label heads. And really a lot of these people, especially industry people, is just the homies that I know that work in those positions, but they trust and value how I was coming as an artist. And then with all those people intertwined, the radio host and all of that, and how cool we are with people, word just gets around. So the artists, when they get there, they're like, oh, well, this is the place you need to be. If you want to meet such and such, you need to be here. And what we do is that we don't just cater to one segment of the city like some people do. We're not an open mic, like Derrick was saying earlier. I agree with everything he was saying. We do the same thing as far as submission process, and we're very critical, and we curate it really, really tough, because like I tell people, it's like the NBA draft. You're really trying to, guess on these people's potential, and you're trying to place them on lineups based on that, how you value them. So it's different things. I'm gonna look at the music first if it's dope, but I'm 41, you feel me? I'm still in the mix with it, trust me, but some shit I'm just might not get. But if I see your video is professional and polished, I see you got fans, your metrics and assets work out cool on your socials. I see you professional with how you email people and everything like this. You got an EPK or some form of deck, like you serious about it. And then I see that other people like the music, I'm a rock with it, because it's all about the potential. And then a lot of those times we have artists that'll start one time, they get on, then 6 months later they back on with us. We have one artist from Houston, the homie AJ Snow. He hopped on tour with Larry June really quick right after us, and now he's been with us probably 4 or 5 times. You know what I'm saying? Then I just locked him in with my boy Jansport J, and Jansport just did songs with Benny. He's on Nas King Disease 2 and 1. That's Grammy nominated shit, and really all that's from literally Jansport coming to Payday and seeing him perform, and was like, oh, this dude is dope. And I'm like, oh, let's connect the dots. That's what the value is in my event. and people see that and they come through. All the other content too, of course, the playlist and the shit we doing on that. But they see that value, that it's an opportunity for them to really get on in some form or fashion that they're looking for, you know. So that's what we sell to people. We sell that the most. We're gonna tell you who done came through on the stage. We're gonna tell you who been up there, because that's where the value still is for us, is that word of mouth.
Right. It just sounds like both you all have curated, you know, what you all want for your brands and your festivals, and staying true to it, and just making sure you're doing that fine tuning, that every time y'all have it, it's still keeping that same quality. Y'all not in a rush to have anybody that doesn't fit outside of those guidelines. And that way you can kind of keep that quality. And then I just want to, you know, I'm always doing a shameless plug because we're on the GlobeVision platform. I see a couple of our artists still on the line. I want y'all to drop in the chat some of the things that GlobeVision helps you work on from jump. And that, you know, because sometimes, you know, when your mom or your dad tells you something, it's like, but when you hear from the outsiders, having those, that portfolio, that EPK, your socials looking correctly. You know, Michael will tell them, like, you know, if you all want to be on stages, I'm gonna need y'all to work with me, and let's work on these professional aspects before I can submit you to a festival or to open for someone. And that's why some artists see that and then some artists don't. You have to be willing to do those work, that work, and GlobeVision helps you to do that so you can perform in festivals like, you know, these men are speaking to. Okay.
Even with like with our festival, Loud Fest, and our press junket, every artist has to have, you have to submit your EPK, your YouTube link, your Spotify or Apple Music link. You got to be registered with BMI or ASCAP. You have to have a clean version to your song. You got to have high resolution photos, and you have to have released something within the past 12 months. So that weeds out so many at that point. And so that's why I definitely agree with Prez, what he's saying about, like, yo, because I'm 41. A lot of this shit I'm not supposed to get. You know,
right.
I'm not, right. But you check all the boxes, I'll let the people decide. You know what I'm saying? I just check the boxes for me. At least I know if you have a hit record and something can happen, and I got radio people and they're like, yo, give me that. I can put that in my mix show. I can put this on air. And what I'm gonna look like, oh, they don't have a clean version. You know what I'm saying? That even though that's not on me, I feel like it's on me.
Yeah.
You know, so I always make sure that
saying those connections, because that ultimately Jansport respects you. He respects the brand. So off that is just like, okay, you bring it to somebody to me, it must be quality. So I definitely agree.
And that's the thing too, to piggyback on what Derrick is saying, all of those professional aspects, it weeds out everybody that's just in there to be a star for one night, to get some attention. I'd have had, you know, platinum producer type cats coming to me and like, oh man, I want to be a rapper now. I want to do the performance. That's not what my platform is for. You know, it's for artists that are very serious about it. And everything that he talked about is what they should have. If they're serious about it, they will have all of those things checked off. And
at the bare minimum.
At the right.
At the bare minimum, you should have those.
Yeah, it weeds out all of those people that are not serious. And once you do that, you see those people that are serious, you see the effort that they put in, and you see that they value it. They value being told, yeah, I can't come drunk or high to the press junket because it teaches you, because they think getting in hip hop is really like what he said, is fantasy land, and that you don't have to show up like it's a job. When in reality, it's a job like anything else. You're going to get judged by being on time or not. You're going to be judged by your professionalism, all of that stuff by people. It's a lot of times it might catch you off guard because you think, oh, there's some rap stuff. It's all in this. Yeah. Nah, but these people have jobs. A lot of them still go in the office or whatever. This is a regular job and career in industry. So you have to conduct it the right way. And me being an artist, I've been on both sides of that, you know, not taking it serious and showing up late and getting judged because of that, and being on time and getting judged because of that. It's simple stuff like that, being professional, that it helps, you know, like we said, empower the artists. You got to let them know how to be in these boardrooms and stuff, man, so they don't get taken advantage of.
I mean, that's why we do this. I mean, this isn't just an arbitrary name, but it's called the business of music. we could talk about the music all day, you know, performing, cutting a record, but it's the business behind it, because that's what's going to take you to the next level. And that kind of takes me to my next question for both of you all. Like, you know, artists, a newcoming artist may think, oh, okay, I'm gonna just write a song, get it produced, go on the record, you know, record it. What are some of the steps they need to take as an artist beyond just the music? Okay, look, just give us a good tidbit. You like, look, that list goes on and on. Just give us a good tidbit to you know, the next stages after the music is produced.
You know what, I always sometimes, even, and not to circumvent your question, I really think it's about what they need to do before they go in the studio. Because my artists that are on my label, when they go into studios or networking with other producers or writers or whatever, I was like, yo, we discuss the split sheets before things are even done, before you even start working. Because you can go in there and make a record, and the producer just thought it was some bullshit, and then you end up making a hit. Now the producer whole attitude has changed towards the record. Now he wants it, and he wants an arm and a leg. So I try to tell the artists to work on those things prior to. But I tell everybody, get the book, All You Need to Know About the Music Business by Donald Passman. I think this, like, they're on the 10th or 11th edition, and I've probably bought 8 of the 10 editions. Every time they update it, I buy it. Then another book I would strongly suggest is The Guide to Music Publishing. And a lot of artists get into this business and not knowing where their money is going to come from, how is it generated. They just thinking, I'm just going to show up and it's going to fall out the sky. So that whole making records and all of that, like you said, that shit is cool, it's fun, it's cute, it's great for social media, but that's less than 5% of the work, man. I give my artists a checklist. Run exercise every day, but you exercise and perform your 15 to 20 minutes set while you're on a treadmill. You eat right, you drink plenty of water. You should rehearse 2 to 3 times a week, whether you have a show or not. Right. You should still be rehearsing your vocal training, your choreography. Like, you should always be working on your craft, reaching out to DJs, going to see them, introducing yourself, buying them a drink. You can take me to any city in the country, and before I get there, whatever spots I'm going to, I'm gonna know who the DJs are. I'm gonna know what they drink. I'm gonna know if they don't drink. Like, just, it's a craft, and if I have to convince you to be great, we're not the partnership. We're not the partnership. So it's just, again, in my brain, it's the bare minimums, but it's like, nobody told Kobe Bryant, hey man, you need to bring a basketball and gym shoes to practice. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody told them you have to shoot 300 shots a day. I don't feel like, if you're telling me you're an artist and you're the next big thing, then cool. You should eat, breathe, sleep, everything being an artist, and everything's at your fingertips now. So it's easy to find out what needs to be done.
Right.
That's real. That's real. I was all about to say, I got a right there. I think that's the latest one right here.
Yeah.
So,
hey, look, and I put it in the chat. Y'all can't say y'all don't know where to find it. Yep, I put it in the chat for anybody who wants,
like
who
a
needs
textbook. Yeah, I got this also, how to make it in the new music business.
Yeah.
Already heard, that's a real valuable one. Music publishing. It's 2022, so like Derrick said, all the tools are right in front of you. Like, I know the era that I came in, I would love to have all of these tools to be able to monetize your music and reach your fan base. Yeah, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So it's like, you just try to tell the artist all of those type of things. Like Splits, it's literally an app called Splits that you can put on your phone and everybody can do splits. And you got to know about your music publishing. The homie asked me the other day about music sync licensing. All right, because randomly I get an opportunity. Somebody hits me saying they want music for a movie. All right, now people have to pitch me this stuff. Half of these people don't even know how to pitch it, or what that is, or even simple stuff as writing a bio. It aggravates me. This is one thing definitely that aggravates me, is when people submit stuff and their bios are like horrible, and you could tell that they wrote them themselves. They're not valuing even paying somebody $50 to $100 just to write the bio professionally, which is how much it usually costs, or you get it done for less. You go Fiverr, all sorts of places to outsource that. And, the bio is always horrible. It's either super short or it's telling me their whole life story, like it's Forrest Gump or something. And it's like, I really don't care about all this. I care about everything related to the music. And what's great about 2022 is everything is on Google. Everything is literally online. If you literally Google how to write a bio, you can find somebody else's bio, a template of that, and you could use these things to show you how to do it the right way. But a lot of artists don't. So a lot of things that we try to do, we either have people from Song Trader, Song Trust, Sound Exchange, you know, Pirate Studios is like Boiler Room with studios all over that are cheap, 24-hour studios for artists. You know, all of these places, Audius Music, which is a new Web3 streaming platform like SoundCloud based on blockchain and crypto that's going crazy right now. We try to give all of these things to get these artists the tools of literal stuff you can do. You know, how to get all of these things done, like Derrick said on the checklist, how to make sure you know how to write a bio right, how to get a team, how to get PR, how do you know when it's time to get these things? All they know is, let me hop in the studio or in my room, make the music, upload it to DistroKid or blah, 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 you know, and I need a manager. But they don't realize you don't
can't
need
get
a
no
manager
manager
unless you need stuff to manage.
nothing to manage.
Got nothing to manage.
If there's nothing to manage,
Right.
yep.
And so, you know, they don't realize they more worried about a lot of, what really bothers me these days is they're worried about a lot of the extracurricular stuff versus just the artist, you know, and they don't realize.
They want to look like it instead of being it.
Yeah, yeah. And they don't realize that if you take that money and invest just a portion of that, and of getting your team or getting those tools to help you out, you'll be way better off than making sure you look nice in the video on this $5,000 video that you're paying for, that you have no idea how you're going to.
No ROI. No, you're not going to get any return on your investment on that one.
Yeah, you know, but that's what I at least love about like shit, excuse my language, stuff really changed for me when I started going out of state, right? I came from blog era, so I started getting booked for like South by and A3C and CMJ and all these other festivals based off that stuff. But I had never been out of Cali. And when I started doing these shows in the other places, especially when you go to like Texas and places like that, it's a whole infrastructure of ways to get on as far as putting your music out, selling your music, talking to media. It was multiple media out there. Everything was all there. The whole ecosphere is there. And all of these places had that. And you see how a lot of artists conduct themselves. A lot of the artists that are successful out there that I know and I've known, they be real professional how they move. Everything's intact. They know what's up, and they all have their business set up straight. The business is very, you know, is done very correctly and very professionally versus average person out here in Hollywood or some LA and New York. That's all they think is Hollywood. So they might more so be thinking about, I gotta make sure I look good and I getting all this traction for the social media and all this other stuff. When in reality, like all that stuff is gonna come in hand if the music and how you running your stuff based on your tools are gonna help you out. If you find the right PR, you'll get a lot of those opportunities. If you have your stuff set up right, if you have your bio done correctly and on every platform. So when I go on Spotify, I see your bio, you know, instead of having to Google your website and stuff, I can figure out what's up. If you have DJ packs, if you have clean versions, like he said, all of these things. And that's what's dope about 2022. All of these opportunities are there. So when I have a chance to on my platform, I try to throw that out there, you know, and that's the ultimate goal, is to teach them those things. And they're lucky to have people like Derrick, you know, and people that are going to tell you, because, and myself and you guys at GlobeVision, because a lot of these people are not even going to tell you. You just going to show up high at the press junket and they're going to be like, yo, you can't do the press junket.
Yep.
You know,
a lot of people too will offer. I've seen, you know, once I got into this business with GlobeVision, they'll take your money and not tell you. They'll, you know, they just know you want to be an artist, but they know you don't have that checklist, but they'll say, oh, it's a $300, $500 fee for XYZ to perform in this festival. You know, it could be some other festivals out there, knowing you're not going to really see much past that because you haven't done the work. No. This is free game, literally. We're offering this for the 3rd year. You know, we do, you know, charge tickets sometimes, but the price you pay for a $25 ticket for the knowledge that you've gotten on just this panel alone will save you thousands, if, you know, not more.
We've at the press junket, it was it started off at $175 a ticket. Then it ended up, and after the pre-sale was $250 a ticket. But for $250, you sat down with the head programmer from BET Jams. Since then, we've had 19 artists who were at the press junket have their videos premiere on BET, MTV, and Revolt. About 11 radio stations, that FM radio stations, reporting BDS stations, that you're sitting down talking to the program director, the mix show coordinator. There was no flunkies or slouches. And it's just that simple investment, because I knew I could put you in the room with these people, because they had that, it was the same checklist. Your EPK, registered with BMI, ASCAP, a clean version, because you're sitting down talking to a radio program director without a clean version. Why do you want to talk to BET without a clean version to your video? So we made sure all those things were in place. So it came down to just that platform's personal preference, if your content fit what they were doing. But did you have everything they need? Yes. And we made sure of that before they even walked in the room. Because like I said, you could have bought a ticket and didn't have none of your shit together. And it's like, well, man, that's on you. But we made sure that, like, no, you're going to come in and be prepared and ready to win in this moment. I need you to win in this moment. Like, and I think that just comes from, again, people like all three of us and everybody on the panels before. You can tell everybody has a genuine love for the industry and what they're doing. This isn't a lick. This ain't a quick cash app scam. Like, no, this is my brand, my reputation, my name.
Right. I will say it makes sense. You know, I've been working with GlobeVision. I've been working with Michael, my first time meeting you two, but it makes very much sense why Michael connected with you all. Our, artists have checklists. We preach to them the same thing. I read Nikki and Lily in the chat. I help with the bios. I have a business background, business major. I've been a manager. So I know that side of thing. And we want to make sure that we're just not taking funds from people, that we're actually really helping them. So we thank you all for your advice. We have one question from the audience. Richard asks, what advice do you have for artists trying to sell tickets in new markets that aren't familiar with them yet?
I'm sorry, go ahead, Prez.
Oh no, I would just say real quick, you have the tools literally off top, just even as an artist looking at your insights. A lot of these artists need to be signed up for Spotify for artists, Apple for artists. Every DSP almost has a metrics or insight app or program where you can access those things. And the first thing you need to do is find out where people are listening to your music at, where are people coming from that are engaging with you. And so you don't end up in Miami when you really should be in Utah. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to look at those type of things. And it's a lot easier these days to pinpoint these different places. And that's just one aspect. Like, literally they could do that right now, is go on your phone, download these apps if you're already an artist on these DSPs, and look at your insights and see where they're coming from. Socials too, but definitely the music ones. Look at the insights of who and where are they listening to your music at.
One of the things that we did was we was doing the Best Rock Festival in the Netherlands. I had never been to the Netherlands, nor have my artists, but it's 36,000 people at the festival. So the week of the festival, I set all my Facebook, IG ads. We set up geo-fencing to where anybody within a 5-mile radius of the festival, when they got on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, our ads would pop up on on their phones. So I had never been to the market before, but I used our ads to promote and let people know we were coming. And that's one of the best ways to do it. Get a ticket link, whatever ticket link from the promoter you're dealing with in that market, create your ads, make that promoter an admin. So now he's pushing and tapping into his audience. And it's late night radio spots are usually $7 to $10 overnights. I'll go in and create radio commercials and run them in whatever market I'm going to, and might spend $100 and just run commercials, letting people know, hey, the headliner is this person, but also include my artist music and special guests coming all the way from Texas. Boom, there you go. So it can all be done. And the ad I did for the Netherlands, I spent $150 on the ad. When we got back, of our Spotify top 20 markets, 17 of them were from Europe. So that's it. You can sell tickets in other markets simply just by marketing.
Mm-hmm. Learn about that, how you could do them, the ads. The ads is definitely something that you either need to know these days or have somebody on the team. There's a lot of people who do that as jobs these days too, and outsource that stuff too. Yeah, that's
Okay.
definitely how you should
Every single point that these gentlemen have mentioned, GlobeVision provides that as a service. So like I said, it makes sense that we connected. I'm so glad to have had you all on this panel. Derrick, he already knew, he beat me to the punch where you can contact him at if you want to connect with him after this. Prez, if you can drop your information in the chat, I'm pretty sure we have some attendees that's going to want to connect with you in PayDayLA after this. And yeah, I mean, I love this. I think there was a lot of meat in this conversation, a lot that people can take from this. And after Prez, make sure we have his info. We're going to send it over to DJ Harmony for another music selection before actually our second to last panel discussion. Thank you guys for really joining us tonight.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
No problem.
I was covered in rain, dripping in water. Hot as a lava, hot as a sauna. Serve on the corner, licking these shortest. I'm in designer, changing the climate. Want it, I buy it, I cannot be silent. Prayed on my soul, God give me guidance. They know that I'm precious, they buy what I'm selling. I get it however, whatever, whenever. I'm up in the price, I'm on a new level. They saying I'm selfish, fuck with my blick on the dresser. Nigga not stressing, get you some paper, get put on the stretcher.